I used to hide photos of my family inside my jewelry cabinet, like a shrine, tucked behind my necklaces, so I could open it when no one was looking and just remember them. I used to read my own Facebook captions and think, those aren't my words. I used to scream and cry into my pillow at night so no one would hear me. And somewhere inside my marriage, I disappeared. I used to wonder, how the hell did I get here? And how do I get out? I'm Jenny, and this is what losing yourself in a relationship actually looks like. Someone asked me once, how did you not realize you were losing yourself? And here's what I know now that I didn't know then. Losing yourself doesn't feel like losing yourself. It feels like adjusting, compromising, being a good partner, being accommodating, being the one who keeps the peace. It's not dramatic at first. It's quiet. It's small. It's 1,000 tiny surrenders that slowly turn into a life that doesn't feel like yours anymore. I spent 7.5 years in a marriage where I lost myself so gradually that I didn't even notice the pieces disappearing. And maybe you don't have words for what's fully happening to you yet. Maybe something just feels off. Like you're living someone else's life. Like you used to be someone you recognized. And now you're not sure where that person went. If that's you, keep watching. Because I'm going to show you what this actually looks like. Not from a textbook, from the inside, from my lived experience. The first way I lost myself was in the performance. I became an actor in my own life. My social media looked perfect. The photos were curated. They went through an approval process. And the captions, I didn't write them. We'd sit together and decide what sounded good, but it was obvious they weren't my words. Eventually, my own account stopped feeling like mine. It felt like a stage where I was performing a version of my life that didn't exist. On the surface, things looked great. On the other side of the screen, I was miserable. And it wasn't just social media. When the work situation changed, I was told not to tell anyone, to keep acting like everything was normal. So I did, because that's what I learned to do, protect the image. And I want you to really think about this. When was the last time you expressed yourself without checking with someone first, without wondering how they'd react, without asking permission to just be yourself? If you can't remember, that's not nothing. The second way I lost myself was through money. We split bills 50-50. Now, on paper, that sounds fair, except our incomes weren't equal. At that time, I made less. I suggested contributing proportionally instead, but I was laughed at. I brought it up once again after that, and then I stopped. Because I didn't want another lecture, another criticism, or another conversation where I somehow ended up feeling selfish for asking. So I kept myself quiet and I continued to pay half. But here's what confused me for years. Packages arrived at our door constantly. Things bought impulsively. Things that mostly sat unopened in an organized mess throughout our entire home. But on vacation, I ordered one drink and got scolded for its price. And suddenly I was the irresponsible one, the careless one, the problem. Over time, I stopped trusting my own judgment around money altogether. When did money stop feeling like something you were allowed to freely use? When did it start feeling like something you had to defend? The third way I lost myself was in the silence. I stopped speaking, not all at once, slowly, because every disagreement became exhausting. If I expressed how I felt, I'd get hours of lectures about marriage, about loyalty, about why I was wrong. I was talked to like I was naive, like I was the child who didn't understand how relationships worked. Eventually, I just checked out. I stopped disagreeing, stopped explaining myself, stopped saying what I actually thought, because the emotional cost of honesty became too high. And underneath all of it was guilt. He had moved across the world to be with me, and that fact became leverage. Like my gratitude was supposed to outweigh my happiness. That's how you become quiet, not always through fear, sometimes through exhaustion, sometimes through guilt. When did it become easier to stay silent than to deal with the conversation that would follow? Because silence isn't always peace. Sometimes it's surrender. The fourth way I lost myself was through isolation. And this one hurt me in every possible way. We went on a trip, and one night, after too many drinks, things fell apart. I found myself standing there, being told I was a curse, that I had ruined his life, in public. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but a stranger walked up to me and asked if I was okay, if she should call the police. I said no. And later that same night, I was told I could make things better by removing my family from my social media. I removed my family from Instagram, from Facebook, and then I removed myself from our family group chat. And I remember this overwhelming feeling in my body, like I was cutting myself off from my own people, my home, my own identity. And that's when I started hiding photos of them in my jewelry cabinet, because I wasn't allowed to have photos of my family around the house. I used to cry into my pillow at night so no one would hear me, the kind of crying where your chest hurts afterwards. And I want you to really hear this. Who did you slowly stop talking to? Who became harder to stay connected to because the relationship made it emotionally expensive? That distance, that's not just drifting apart, that's isolation. The fifth way I lost myself was in the future I stopped believing in. I didn't really have a say in whether we had children. There was no intimacy in our relationship, no emotional closeness, no real partnership. And for a while, I tried to fight for that future. But eventually, I stopped. Because deep down, I knew bringing children into that environment would have broken me even more. So I let that dream go quietly. And I didn't even properly grieve it because I was too busy surviving. What future did you slowly stop reaching for? And did you even notice the moment you gave up on it? Eventually, I hit a point where I couldn't see a future anymore. I used to think to myself, how did I get here? And how do I get out? But I couldn't imagine a way out. Mentally, things got very, very dark. I stopped being able to picture happiness, freedom, or a different life. I wasn't living anymore. I was surviving one day at a time, emotionally disconnected from myself, waiting for something to change because I didn't have the strength to change it myself. That's what losing yourself looks like at the bottom, when you can't even remember who you used to be before all the walls closed in. But I was wrong. The day I told my parents the truth, things changed for me. For the first time in years, I felt support instead of isolation, and suddenly, I could see it. Not the whole road ahead, but enough of it to believe that escape was possible. And naming what was happening to me, that mattered more than I realized. Because I couldn't rebuild my life until I was honest about what I had lost. Not to stay trapped in the past, not to blame forever, but because you can't rebuild yourself while pretending nothing is broken. You are not starting over. You are starting from experience, from awareness, from truth, and that changes everything. So here's what I need you to hear today. If you're watching this thinking, that's me, you're not crazy, you're not weak, and you're not imagining it. Losing yourself doesn't happen all at once. It happens slowly, in tiny moments, tiny compromises, tiny silences, tiny betrayals of yourself that eventually become a life you don't recognize anymore. But the moment you start questioning it, the moment something inside you says, this doesn't feel right, that's important. Because that voice, that's still you. You stopped abandoning yourself the moment you started asking questions. The moment you searched for this video. The moment part of you started wanting more for yourself. Listen to that voice. No one is coming to save you, but you can save yourself, and you don't have to do it alone. I'm Jenny, and I'm really glad you're here. Together, let's rebuild, redefine, and rise.